4.01 Three Islamic Empires. This flipped lesson goes along with Student Guide pages 90, 92 to 93, your Human Odyssey reading pages 136 to 149. Lesson Introduction: Three Islamic Empires. While Christendom experienced cultural renewal and religious friction, the Islamic world gave birth to three empires: the Ottoman Empire centered in Asia Minor, the Safavid Empire in Persia, and the Mughal Empire in India. They extended Islam's power and influence. From 1300 to 1600, these Asian empires were rival centers of power and culture. Their achievements had a lasting effect on the world. Lesson Objectives: Recognize that the Islamic world experienced hardships at the hands of the Mongol conquerors. Identify Osman as the Muslim Turkish nomad who founded the Ottoman Empire in the 13th century. Recognize the extent of the Ottoman Empire at its height. Identify the countries in that area today. Identify Suleiman as the 16th century Ottoman emperor who developed a code of law for the empire and was known outside of the empires as Suleiman the Magnificent. Locate on a map the 15th century Persian Safavid Empire and identify the countries that are in that area today and their religious affiliation. Describe the political and religious conflicts between the Ottoman and Safavid empires. Identify Akbar as the ruler of the Mughal Empire and practiced religious and cultural tolerance in India. Recognize the Taj Mahal as its 17th century agricultural masterpiece of the Mughal Empire. Just a quick note, we will not do a lot of geography during this flip video lesson, but we'll cover that during class time. The Ottoman Empire, page 90. You can take a pause when you are looking at this video during your independent time and fill in the chart on page 90. I'll make a couple quick notes during this video. Osman was born in 1453 and captured Constantinople in the middle of the 16th century, which was when the empire reached its height. The founderman was Osman. The important ruler was Suleiman. Capital city Istanbul. Religion was Muslim, mostly Sunni, and there were several conflicts going on during this time between the different religious groups. Greatest achievement: the largest Islamic empire of the time, a well-equipped, highly organized army. People of all religions and cultures lived together. Built the Soleimani Mosque, and then Suleiman created a vast legal code for the empire. Europe emerges from the Middle Ages. As Europe emerged from its dark period in the Middle Ages, the Islamic world was experiencing its own dark period. The Islamic world's hardships were primarily caused by Mongol conquerors. The Mongol armies came down from Central Asia to invade the Muslim heartlands of Persia and Mesopotamia. And you can take a quick note at this map as well. The Ottoman Empire. Osman was the 13th century Muslim nomad from that area that is present-day Turkey, who founded the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman sultans conquered all of Asia Minor and then began invading Europe. In 1453, the Ottomans captured Constantinople from the Byzantines, renamed it Istanbul, and made it the capital of their Muslim empire. The Ottoman Empire expands. After the fall of Constantinople, the Ottomans continued to expand their empire. Greece, Hungary, Syria, and Egypt exist today in the territory the Ottomans conquered between the 13th and 15th centuries. The successful expanding and unifying of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans were able to expand and unify their empire because they had a well-disciplined army that was almost invincible. Their well-equipped army was very organized and used the most up-to-date weapons. Their army also included groups called janissaries. These soldiers were Eastern European Christians who had been captured and enslaved when they were young boys. The boys were forced to convert to Islam and were very carefully trained to become the best soldiers in the entire army. The Ottoman Empire's height of power. The Ottoman Empire reached the height of its power and prosperity in the middle of the 16th century. The Sultan ruling during this time was known as Suleiman I. He was known as Suleiman the Magnificent by Europeans and Suleiman the Lawgiver by his own people. He decreed a vast new set of laws for his empire. During his reign, he hired an architect to design new buildings for the capital. The Safavid Empire, page 90. Again, you can pause this video and fill it out during your independent time, but a quick few notes. Early the 16th century, Ismail conquers Persia and became Shah. The founder was Ismail and the ruler was Abbas, a great builder and warrior. The capital city was Isfahan. The religion was Muslim. The state religion was Shiite, which was a branch of Islam. The conflicts, they invaded the Ottoman Empire in Asia Minor. Thereafter, frequently with the Ottomans over territory. Again, a lot of religious conflicts going on during that time. Great achievements: the Persian artisans produced beautiful rugs and pottery. Artists studied European Renaissance art and adopted some techniques from there. The capital city of Isfahan is grand and well planned. The Safavid Empire. In the early 16th century, a group of Muslim nomads from the north called the Safavid invaded and conquered Persia. Soon after, they began fighting with the Ottomans. The Ottomans and the Safavids became bitter enemies because each empire wanted to expand into the other's territory. They differed about religion. The Ottomans belonged to the Sunni branch of Islam, and the Safavids belonged to the Shiite branch. The Sunni and Shiite branches of Islam. Shiites, or Shias, believed that the Islam leader should always be someone from Muhammad's family. Sunnis believed it was wrong to limit the leader of Islam to Muhammad's family. They believed the most capable Muslim should lead. Persia's Shah, ruler in the late 1500s. Shah Abbas I ruled during the late 1500s. Persian artists defined the Islamic rules that forbade the depiction of living creatures in art. They created art full of images of living creatures, both humans and animals. Persian artists studied the realistic techniques of European Renaissance painters. The Mughal Empire, page 90. Again, you can take time during your independent time to pause this and fill it out more clearly. But basic time frame, important dates. Babur invades northern India the second half of the 16th century. Mughal Empire becomes large and powerful. The founder was Babur. Important ruler was Babur's grandson Akbar. The capital city was not given in the text, but capital cities include Fatehpur Sikri, Lahore, and Agra. The religion was Muslim. The general population was Hinduism and Buddhism, but mostly Hinduism. The conflicts: the Mughal artists make pictures of the human body which shocked the Muslims because it violated the traditional teachings of Islam. The achievements: Akbar mandates religion and cultural tolerance by the government. Mughal architects build mosques and swelling domes and decorate them with colored tiles, and the Taj Mahal was a huge achievement during this time. The Mughal dynasty. In the 1520s, a Muslim chieftain named Babur invaded northern India and founded the Mughal Empire, the Mughal dynasty. In the Ottoman and Safavid empires, the rulers and most of the population were Muslim. In the Mughal Empire, however, Muslim rulers ruled over a population that was mostly Hindu and Buddhist. Akbar extends the Mughal Empire. Akbar was the ruler who extended the Mughal Empire to include most of northern and central India. To get mostly Hindu and Buddhist population to accept Muslim rule, Akbar treated all of his subjects very well and established a climate of religious and cultural tolerance. The arts in the Mughal Empire. The arts flourished in the Mughal Empire. In the 17th century, Akbar's grandson, Shah Jahan, built one of the most famous examples of Muslim architect in the world, the Taj Mahal. Ibn Khaldun. Muslim scholar Ibn Khaldun believed that warlike tribes that follow inspiring leaders create most empires. After a tribe set up an empire, it settles down to a life of peaceful ruling. Over a few generations, the tribe loses its fighting spirit and its loyalty to its leaders. Finally, the empire falls to another invading warlike tribe. Just a quick note, very similar to the ancient Chinese dynasties that you would have learned about in world history pre this lesson. And there we come to the end, and we have a few pictures of the great architecture created during this time period. Thank you for joining me.